the new 2025 Porsche Macan Electric takes a known name and a familiar shape in an entirely different direction. Which begs the question, does this electric compact crossover still feel like a Porsche? Let's take a closer look. This is a 2025 Porsche Macan Electric. Looking at the front of the Macan Electric, it largely looks familiar to the regular Macan, but a little bit cleaner and simpler. Obviously, there's no grille of any kind until you get down low. And these back here, these are active shutters because there are not as many cooling demands generally for this car. But you do have the trademark sloping front hood that blends into the front bumper and then in till we get to this very pronounced lower front lip spoiler right here. We do also have some interesting design details way off to the side here. These design elements right here, this is a vent that goes to the front wheel well to help mitigate a high pressure zone here. But then we have lighting elements right here just above a sensor here. But then we have these lights up here, which are four very thin horizontal slots that will go across in this fairly small light assembly for the modern era. So that's all interesting to see. And then it all blends down into the base here. Sensors here, and then a very pronounced adaptive cruise control sensor here in the center, along with a little leaf. And then the hood itself has a fair amount of articulation built into it. It kind of has a bulge here to meet the headlight assembly. And then when it slopes down, it has little sharper ridges on either side here, but it's nice and smooth at the center with the Porsche emblem right here. And usually I like to show you what's under the hood, and I want to do that again now, but for a slightly different reason. There is no engine under here, of course, but there's not even an electric motor buried beneath that. This is a rear-wheel drive only single motor electric vehicle. So what we have here is 2.9 cubic feet of storage space, and you know, that's about it. We have this slot right here. This actually has a specific purpose. This is to hold cabling if you're bringing your own cabling to use at public charge ports. That's what that's for. And then the storage space itself is not too terribly wide, but it is fairly deep towards the front. So it would be a fairly useful space. I think you could fit a carry-on luggage size duffel bag, if not like a hard case or something like that. And with this space, we do also have easy access to windshield washer fluid right there. Looking at the Macan Electric in profile, this gives you a good sense of its slightly slopier shape than the standard Macan. We have a steeper rear windshield rear line right here, and then the roof just kind of slopes, just seems just a little bit more aggressively than the standard Macan, based on my memory at least. This also gives you a good look at the standard color. This is white, nice and simple. And you do have a couple of recognizable traits for the Macan, like this side blade right here in black plastic, but then some new ones like this electric logo right here on the front quarter panel. We do also have this black plastic that starts at the base of the front bumper, goes around the base of the fenders, and right across the bottom to the back and onto the rear bumper. Matches the black window trim pretty well. And then you get to this gloss black B and C pillar right there. And you might be able to see we have a panoramic moonroof up there as well. One thing that is a little bit different, we have a door here on the driver's side of a German car. No, this is not a fuel door, of course. This is a charge port, but this is one of two charge ports. This is the AC/DC charge port. You can do fast charging here, but on the other side you have another fuel door right here, but this one is AC only, so your standard level 2 charger. I think it's pretty interesting that Porsche gave you two charge port options in the Macan. It does add some convenience, though if you want a fast port on the passenger side, you are a little bit out of luck there. I do generally like the shape of the Macan and the Macan Electric, And I think if anything, the Macan Electric looks better because we have a stretched out wheelbase, which gives us shorter front and rear overhangs, and it is a slightly longer car overall as well. I will go ahead and put the dimensions up on the screen so you can check those out and let you know that I have a lot more information in the description. You are looking at the base 20-inch wheel for the Porsche Macan Electric, and this is a summer tire, but it is an EV summer tire, Michelin Pilot Sport EV, and it's an interesting setup. We have the fairly typical for EVs, less gaps, smaller gaps here in the wheel, a very fat 5-spoke, you could look at it that way, with this nice silver exposed at the front, but a lot of black around that to emphasize the contrast, and that helps minimize the coefficient of drag the wheels themselves would cause. But, you know, I think it works well for the Macan, and I actually really like the white paint with this wheel setup. I think that's a good look combined. And yes, this is the base Porsche, and yes, this is an EV, but it is still a Porsche, and that means we have a staggered wheel setup. The wheels in back are much wider than the ones in front. I'll go ahead and put the dimensions of the front tire and the rear tire up on the screen. Looking at the rear of the Porsche Macan Electric, this gives you a better look at this steeply raked rear windshield right here. Also, a couple of options. This rear windshield wiper right here, $380 extra. The trailer hitch right here, $680 extra. Yes, you can tow with the Macan Electric, 2,000 kilograms with a braked trailer, 750 kilograms with a non-brake trailer. That is 4,409 pounds or 1,653 pounds. Also right here, this is a expandable rear spoiler right here. At speed, it'll lift up like that, but I can show you what it looks like right now. Let me do that. Up, down. That is tied to the drive modes, by the way, so you can have it configured if in sport mode you want it up all the time, or independently, you can have it up all the time. I do like this full width black that goes right across the tail of the car, and that is just above the Macan lettering right here, and then down to this interesting horizontal ridges baked into the back bumper, and then this extra bit around the license plate cover, and then some reflectors and some other things down low. Obviously, we don't have to worry about any kind of faux exhaust or non-faux exhaust. No exhaust, so that's fine. And this is a little bit on the border of what is acceptable in terms of like faux rear diffuser and everything, but I'm going to say it is on the acceptable side of that borderline. So yeah, generally I think it's a sharp looking rear end, and I think the designers did a good job making use of the packaging advantages that electric motors provide. It's a good looking vehicle overall, and it does have a fair amount of space inside. Let's look at that. Just like the front, of course, you can use the key fob to open it, but if you look very closely, right next to the rear camera right here, there is a nice button right here. And that exposes 18 cubic feet of storage in the rear cargo area with all the seats up. And if you lift the floor, you get a look at the subwoofer of your Bose surround sound system, but a little bit of extra storage space on either side. And here you have a tow hook as well. On the extreme end, you also have these little netted off areas here, and then deeper, you have these elastic straps to help hold things in place, and then tie downs at the four corners. Oh, and we do have one other option back here. It is the $170 115 volt socket right here on the driver's side. Also, if you want to lower the rear of the car, we do have a standard air suspension. It does have adjustable ride heights, and you can lower the rear of the car right here. That is, I would guess, a good 3 inches lower than where we started. The Porsche Macan is in the normal driving mode, so that's where that goes. And now you have very easy access to the loading floor. And the loading floor is quite low. There's a little bit of a bump here, then they pretty much go straight to the actual floor. That's nice as well. put it back up. Also, the privacy panel is nice and secure. Takes a couple of steps, but it is easy to remove. First, remove the pins, and then just pull out like that. And if you need more than 18 cubic feet of storage and just have you and a passenger, very easy to do. Pull a couple of levers and you have 47 cubic feet of storage. And like I said, room for you and a passenger. And I would say a very healthy amount of space, but let's measure it out real quick. So with the front seats comfortable for me on both the driver and passenger side, we have 66 inches of room before we get to this little hump right here. And then 38 inches plus the length of the tape measure, that's 41.5 inches at its narrowest point wide. So 41.5 inches wide, 66 inches deep worth of space. Now, this is a fairly steeply sloped hatch here, so your amount of space you have at the roof is a lot lower than what you have at the base. That's a good 2 feet from there. This is an estimate. I'm going to say it's about 20 inches, but overall you have a healthy amount of room that's easy to access. All right, let's look inside. First thing I'm going to do is turn the car on because there's things to show you in back with it on, and I don't have to do anything actually because the car recognizes that the key fob is with me. The car is open, the car is running. You can hear the climate control working already. By the way, you can see here I'm in drive right here. That's how I put the spoiler up and down. Also, you can see that I have different access to the levels of the suspension as a whole. I'll show you that in just a minute. To the back. First and foremost, a couple of options. We have the black interior with the limestone beige option, and we actually have those limestone beige seats, and I think it's really nice to get something other than black in the interior. I think it opens it up really nicely. I really like that. $270 well spent. We also have the $490 4-zone climate control package, and I think that is probably money well spent as well to give your rear passengers some added comfort. We also have the $600 optional heated rear seats. That right now is not worth the money, but in Michigan in general, I would say that also is. Keeping those rear passengers nice and comfortable. Except for the middle passenger, of course, odd person out if you end up seating 5. I am 5 feet 11 inches or 181 centimeters tall, and you can see I have a couple inches of knee room right here. Also, the seat bottoms are pretty high, but not super high, so I have decent thigh support, but not great. All told, that gives me right around a 90-degree bend in my knees. So a little bit less spacious than I hoped, especially being an EV. But on the positive side, even though we have this panoramic moonroof, you can see the privacy panels on right now, I do have plenty of headroom. Of course, I do also have an armrest with cup holders. So yeah, overall, it's actually pretty comfortable in here. I don't know if I'd want to do a full road trip in this car, but a couple hours wouldn't be a problem at all. All right, to the front. As I walk up to the front door, you can see that we do have 3-position driver's seat memory right there. We do have the usual controls down low, but we also have access to the front and rear storage areas. And as you can see, you can open and close the rear storage area from right here. We do also have the optional $1,030 Bose surround sound system. We do also have this nice metallic Macan kick plate right here. And we have the $1,390 14-way comfort seats. And from here, you can get a good look at the lower center console area where we have 2 USB Type-C and a standard 12-volt charge port right there. That is in front of the cup holders right here. See, it's kind of open. This upper panel of the lower console ends and has access to that space down there. We do have a couple of controls to the left of the steering to handle the lights, and above that, our push button start to the left of the steering, as well as electrically adjustable tilt and telescope right here. Real quick, I should say that the standard seats in the Macan Electric are also electrically powered, but they are 8-way adjustable. Okay, the steering wheel itself is a nice small diameter rim. It is also a good fat rim, easy to grip onto, and you can see that we have plenty of controls to the right and to the left of the steering wheel, as well as several stocks with options on that as well. And this is a heated steering wheel. The button is behind right here. The heated steering wheel is standard on the Macan Electric. But what is not standard, it is a $1,020 option, is the Sport Chrono package, which gives us this dial right here and several drive modes. We'll talk about more of those in just a minute. But above that is our 12.6-inch fully digital instrument cluster right there. Next to that are also standard 10.9-inch center display. And the center display does, of course, include wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. Also standard, hey Porsche, set the temperature to 74 degrees.
I'm setting the temperature to 74 degrees Fahrenheit.
Thank you, but that's actually crazy. Hey Porsche, set the temperature to 70 degrees. It's quite warm outside.
I'm setting the temperature to 70 degrees Fahrenheit.
That is part of a new cloud-based setup for the center display and all the components that work it. Seems to work well. This being a fully digital instrument cluster, it is of course very configurable. You have the controls for it with this dial and this button right here. So if I hit this button, you can see the white that goes around the perimeter of the speedometer, then to the center, then to the right. So if I go to the left and then I use the dial, I have these options of what I'm looking at here on the left. Go to the center, and then I scroll. That changes the entire screen, not just the center. One more time, and more options on the right side. The center display also, of course, has tons of options built into it. So the main ones I want to show you are here. We have themes. We have a lot of different color combinations you can choose. So this is the ambient lighting. If we go blue, that changes the blue, and there's also the background in the digital instrument cluster changes. And then we also have the car itself. The car has all these controls right here. If you go to drive, this is drive modes and all these other controls. I showed you a little bit of that already. One of them is this electric sport sound. That is a $510 option. And this gives your electric vehicle a sportier sound. That's something. So if you don't get this $510 option, it still makes the sounds it has to make by law, but this is supposed to be a bit more enticing. I'm going to play with that to be sure. We also have the assistance options here. Lots of things to look at here when it comes to trip and different comfort settings as well. Go back to drive for now. You also have information on charging, and this is where you can set it up if you want the car to start at a certain temperature, if you want it to start pre-cooling at different times, those types of things. And then there's also a lot of more settings here. There's always a settings button in the corner, so there's more options there. Scroll to the next page. We have the settings button itself. You have lots of different things to control here. But there's one more thing I want to show you. Go to car. Now go to settings here. Now go to vehicle settings. Now scroll down to vehicle locking systems. When you get here, there's settings here to automatically unlock the car when you're approaching, automatically lock the car when you're moving away. You saw that I didn't actually have to hit the power button to start the car up. It kind of just started working on its own. Well, the car will also lock and unlock itself on its own, just as it senses the key fob approaching or going away. So if you're into that kind of thing, the Porsche will do it. Personally, I just like having that control, that knowledge that it's not happening unless I do it. So I turn those things off. Beneath that, we do have our hazard light and traction control options and this door right here, which exposes a wireless smartphone charger right there. beneath that, the first two zones of our 4-zone climate control system. And you can see here that we have heated seats up here. Those are standard, but the ventilated seats right there, that is a $670 option, and it requires the 14-way comfort seats. The standard seats are not available to be ventilated. Beneath that, we have a couple of cup holders and that access to that storage down low that I showed you. It's easier to see off to the side right here. And then past that, we do have lower center console storage right there, nice and simple. Looking up, we do have controls for the moonroof and for the privacy panel. And it is lovely. And finally, a nice look at our analog clock right there. Let's talk drive modes. We have 4 drive modes, but the drive modes do a lot because we have off-road, normal, sport, and sport plus. Each different drive mode commands different ride heights and suspension settings and all kinds of things. We do have adjustable shock absorbers. We do have air suspension, both standard. So lots of chassis changes happen when you adjust the drive modes. But you can also control things like the vehicle level independently. So let me show you the different ride height levels you can have with the Macan. As you can see, we're currently on our low setting, but if I change it to lift, you can now see that we are much higher off the ground. From there, I can go to normal or lowered or back to the lowest setting. Yeah, pretty big difference, pretty cool to see. And also, just because we can show you from the side, this is what the spoiler looks like when it's up from the side. To put it back down, you have to hold this down. So there you have it, the 2025 fully electric Porsche Macan. Yeah, this thing is something, isn't it? Full air suspension, full adjustable shock absorbers, all the usual Porsche-ness you'd expect, but from a different perspective. I'm not sure I love all these changes and these like automated things you can do, but I understand that that is a trend that more and more people are interested in. And I do think that generally speaking, Porsche has executed very well with this electric Macan. It is a very comfortable place to be, especially in the front row. Going electric, of course, does not come cheap. The base price for this base Macan Electric is $79,995, just squeaking under 80K. And as you heard, my test car has many, many options and costs $89,315. Yeah, you're going to spend some money. But for that money, you're going to get a Porsche with a lot of luxuries, a lot of neat tricks, and a lot of newness in it. And yet, I say that yes, it does still feel like a Porsche in here, a new one that I quite like. I'm Robin Warner. Thank you very much for watching.